Dudley, the premier boxer of the Street Fighter franchise, other than Borog of course, and a very unique and strong following to him. And today I've been requested to do a redesign for Dudley, which may prove challenging, but I'm all here for it. So let's see what I get. Alright, so I got requested to do a redesign for Dudley for Street Fighter 6. Honestly, I have no idea if Dudley will make a return for Street Fighter 6 in like a Season 2 pack or anything. He probably won't, but it's nice to sit up and imagine that he may get one, and to do a redesign for Dudley is kind of interesting for a couple of reasons. Number one, Dudley's design is already extremely unique in and of itself. Capcom essentially took the old pugilist photos, those old school black and white boxers, and made a character design around that specific look. But it's very well done. He looks like a very, very proper boxer, as he should. And I don't mean proper boxer as in a real boxer. I mean a proper boxer is this real eloquent, sophisticated boxer that look at how he's dressed. Dudley looks like he just attended some type of ball or something like that, or had a fancy dinner and then just threw on boxing gloves and started beating people's heads in. It's so wildly different from Balrog in that respect, but that's where the problem lies for me. For a very fancy and sophisticated boxer, Dudley's design is already pretty spot on, so trying to make Dudley look very, very different from that while at the same time making sure that he looks true to the character is a challenge in and of itself, but one that I'm more than happy to try to take on. So without further ado, let's see how this Dudley design goes.
It was an eventful journey, to be sure, but I was unable to procure the new roses I was after.
It is a shame, sir.
Okay, so starting off, I had the base pose for Dudley. I wanted him to be in somewhat of a fighting pose from jump, but my focus for this design was I wanted Dudley to look almost clean and respectable while also seeming like a different Dudley. I know that sounds ridiculous because that's the purpose of me doing a redesign in the first place, but I didn't want it to scream his old design at all. And I almost stuck with that with the gloves and the specific color that I gave him earlier, but I ended up changing that up, but we'll get to that later on. In the very beginning, I wanted to design his face, which I had to switch up to make sure I had his sort of jawline and chin down pat. And I got the idea to draw Dudley in a suit. I don't know, the idea of Dudley fighting in a suit and tie is kind of ridiculous. To me, he may almost take the jacket to the suit off before he would fight. It would seem like a very Dudley thing to do, but I don't know, to just do something different, I wanted to see how he would look in the full suit to draw him in. Just because, as I've said before, it would be different for him. Though I feel like a suit look seems like it's very cliche for a Street Fighter design. Not sure why I feel that, I just do. But Dudley with a full suit and almost gloves to it just seemed like the way to go. I also decided to give Dudley shades, just because again, it would be so unlike his traditional design. I gave him the suit and the glasses, and also I didn't give him the traditional boxing gloves. I almost felt like that would kind of be overkill, so I gave him fingerless gloves this time around. And then after I had the base of his look down packed, I went back and went over it with my line art, sort of cleaned it up some and got rid of the sketchiness of his suit because I really couldn't get an idea of the form of the suit until I sort of did my line art. And then the problem that I had from the start was already in my mind. How was I going to color him? Because I didn't think that out at all, other than the fact that I didn't want to use the same sort of white and green look from before. Again, I'm not trying to make him read exactly like Dudley, considering that most of the Street Fighter 6 designs look so unlike how many characters looked in the past, except maybe like a Chun-Li. So that was my thought process the rest of the way with Dudley. But after getting that line art done, I started the coloring phase of the design. Before I get into that, just wanted to let everybody know, if you like the design so far and want to see more of the ones that I've done on this channel for other fighting games and etc., go ahead and leave a like and subscribe to the channel as well. It'd be greatly appreciated. Now getting back to this Dudley design. So I started coloring Dudley, made sure I gave him a sort of darker skin tone that Dudley's supposed to have. And then I went ahead and colored his hair. I colored it like a darker brown. I know in the games it's sort of black, but it's sort of all over the place in the actual artwork for Dudley. So I just found a happy medium and just gave him a darker brownish look. and then went ahead and started actually coloring the design. I had it in mind to give him like a two-tone look for his clothing, so I gave him like the red jacket up top and then gave him like dark pants and shoes. A black, red, and sort of like dark blue color scheme was what I was kind of going for. I initially gave him the blue gloves like he had before, or blue colored gloves, but it's like without him having actual boxing gloves, it's way more over the top than I feel like it needs to be. And Dudley just looked cleaner with darker gloves to me, so I went with that. There wasn't really much more coloring wise to Dudley outside of that. The only other thing would be sort of the rolls in both the pants and his actual suit jacket, and adding a red stripe to his pants just to add something else to the design from how it already looked. Again, adding some uniqueness so that it's not just Dudley in a suit. I want it to look like it's a special Dudley style outfit, and then from there it was on to the shading. As usual, I felt a lot more comfortable about the design once I shaded it. It started to look like it had some sort of life to it. Specifically the suit jacket along with the tie and vest underneath, the combination of that I feel like was holding this design together. I don't mind it as much, it just looked like a really clean Dudley. But after doing the shadows, it was on to doing the highlights. For the highlights, it was mainly just cleaning up certain areas of like the jacket and the gloves. And this design definitely needed highlights to it, not just that it looked way too flat, but it needed something else to really sort of bolster the design some. Specifically the blue, or like the dark blue aspects of the design along with the suit jacket, it definitely needed highlights placed there. And then after getting all that squared away, I did the specular highlights for the design just to add a slight touch to it. I needed to tone some of the highlights down in certain places, like the hair for instance. There was no reason for him to have that much shine to it. One of them instances where he's almost glowing, so I turned down the specular highlights that I gave him in certain areas and then boosted them in other ones. And I was pretty much finished, and I had this Street Fighter 6 Dudley design. Not gonna lie, the idea of Dudley in shades in a suit, it's kind of cool to me, and he still looks somewhat proper without looking like a notorious spy, which is what he easily could have been looking like had I colored this slightly different. I think had I not given him the red suit jacket, he probably would look like a spy more than anything else. He definitely reads fighter, and because it's a suit in and of itself, it reads clean. How it pertains to Dudley, I'll let you guys be the judge of that. Let me know in the comments below how you feel about this Dudley design. And also, as I've said before, like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And you all have a good one, and I'm out.
Get it on that. Select and make it first pick. Get it on that. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Get it on that. Choose and pick the best one. Get it on that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get it on that. Select and make it first pick. Get it on that. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Get it on that. Choose and pick the best one.